this week, the name of the game is naming names. There's an old Chinese proverb that says the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their right name. So let's get off on the right foot by naming my guests. A household name, Ramesh Ranganathan. A rose by any other name, Carrie Lloyd. To conjure with, Phil Jupiters. An old what's-his-name, Alan Davis. So this week, their buzzers are their porn names, OK? So that's... if you've not played that game, it's the first pet's name and mother's maiden name. So Phil goes...
I, the Schroeder Swan.
It's quite sexy, Dan. Very sexy.
How much you paid that bloke?
Yep.
I'd have done that for nothing. And more convincingly,
Well,
that sounded like you found an asthmatic tramp on the South Coast.
What was the name?
Schroeder Swan.
Oh, yes, that's very good.
Schroeder was a spiteful pub dog.
Right.
Used to attack Jock, our barman.
You had your own barman? I don't want to know. We haven't started the show yet. Carrie goes.
Hello, I'm Snuffy. Snuffy Story.
You can now access my bank account.
That is a very specific kind of porn right there.
Ramesh goes.
Oh, hello, it's Goldie Silverhaji.
Why have I been given that
It's
one?
quite camp, Ramesh. And Alan goes.
Hey up, it's Nobby Styles.
Nobby Styles is a very good porn name.
It's very farming specific, isn't it?
I'm not very good with my hands, but
No.
Nobby Styles.
Now, here is my first very simple question. Who is offended by what?
Oh, God, everybody by everything.
Yes, well, there is that.
Anybody who reads a tweet and doesn't understand it immediately is offended by it.
Yeah. Do you tweet?
I do tweet, yeah,
Right.
I do. But I'm often scared to tweet about anything that's, you know, controversial.
So what do you do? Just the colour beige or just...
Basically,
just like
anything...
emojis and, like, GIFs of Japanese girls cutting hairs with crab hands.
Well, that's... the problem with Twitter is that even if you choose something like that you think is really innocent and can't be offensive, it can be. You know, you tweet about porridge and then somebody goes, well, actually, I had a porridge-related incident many years ago and actually I find it highly offensive and I can't believe you'd even not bother to consider the feelings of people that had Ready Brek-related incidents in their childhood.
Is that then at 3 bears? Is that a sort of...
Yeah.
It's not Twitter-related, so it's more to do with who?
Who is offended by what?
Yes.
Doctor, offended by Daleks.
Doctor is the right area, but not Doctor Who.
Oh.
It is to do with doctors.
Oh, generally medical practitioners?
It is a large organisation, so if we think of it as an acronym...
World Health
Organisation.
World Health Organisation, absolutely right.
And they're offended by what, which is the World Health Annual Transportation Convention.
They are worried that scientists are naming diseases that offend people, and that indeed we've done this too much in the past. So, for example, Spanish flu would be a good example. It affects people in Spain, possibly, and tourism. People might think if you go to Spain, you'll get Spanish flu. Legionnaire's disease is not a legionnaire in the world not been distressed by the thought.
Oh, I know one. Essex wind. It's awful, isn't it, Phil?
Terrible. It blows right up your Thames corridor.
There's Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which I imagine... I don't know who that would offend. People call Creutzfeldt. Jakob Kreutzfeldt, I would imagine. Very offensive. Swine flu, apparently. Very offensive to people who work with, I don't know, pigs.
Mrs. Swine.
Mrs. Swine
Is upset about it.
I'm very keen on paralytic shellfish, which I can only imagine would offend prawns that drink too much. Right? See how anybody would be offended by that. And apparently...
Staggering home sideways, crabs, hey? It's paralytic.
I'll be honest, I don't see how you get crabs if you're staggering sideways, but...
I just realised I'm doing a crab playing the piano. I don't know why I'm doing that with Why am I doing that with my fingers? Is that it?
The idea is you're supposed to minimise unnecessary distress. So, for example, if you called something sudden death syndrome, that's just too frightening.
Hold on a sec. If you're about to die imminently, you can't just say something cuddly so they're not offended. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to die in the next 20 minutes, you can't just go... You just got the chills.
Yeah.
Just because you don't want them to be upset.
But here's the thing. So doctors have certain acronyms, and I love these. There's SBI, which is something bad inside, and it means the doctor knows there's something wrong, not entirely sure what it is. SVBI, something very bad inside. Again, don't know what it is, but it'll definitely kill you. And there's loads for fat people. There's CBT, which is chronic biscuit toxicity. The other best one for fat people is BW. What? Beached whale. Oh. And my favourite acronym, PRATFO. Patient reassured and told to F off. Used to be loads of occupational diseases, certain diseases that were entirely...
Minus cough.
Minus
cough. Minus lung.
Jogger's nipple.
Jogger's nipple, yes. And the very first one ever was chimney sweep's scrotum.
What?
Yeah, chimney sweep's scrotum.
What was he? Well, he should put the fire out.
What are you doing up there?
Bagpipers fungus.
Bagpipers fungus is a terrible thing. It's apparently if you don't clean the bagpipes, you can get a sort of horrible micro...
Imagine getting a fungus from an instrument that makes that noise.
Sounds like it's trying to kill you anyway, doesn't it?
I've seen all these things listed outside a flat in Amsterdam.
It's chimney sweep scrotum because once they're up there and if you know, they poke the sweep up. I'm just guessing.
Poor Dick Van Dyke. Oh, Mary Poppins, my scrotum's playing me up something wrong. Stepping time!
That's the subplot they never managed.
A spoonful of...
That's why they're all doing that. That's why they're all doing that.
Do you think he was in too much pain to do the accent properly? So, anyway, can you tell me what this bird's name is?
Is it a wagtail?
It is not a wag... But what I really want is I want its actual name.
Is it Philip, Jeremy, Mabel?
Well, to assist you, you have some bird whistles beside you. Yeah. See if you can come up with the actual name. Oh, that's better than mine. Rubbish.
Oh, here we go. Said Tiny Clanger.
Oh, you've got lots of different ones. The famous calling sound of a goose with asthma.
What are you doing?
It's my ears pop.
Is that a duck call?
It's a
duck call.
Sounds like a...
Try the little end.
Hang on! Well, it could be any one of these tunes. Here's the extraordinary thing. This bird is called, and this is such a lovely name, it's called a superb fairy wren. Isn't that the sweetest thing? And every single nest has a family name, so it's like it has a surname. And the surname is given to the mother when the kids are all in the eggs. And what she does is she lays the eggs and then she waits for 9 days and then she sits by the eggs and she starts singing a unique tune. So it might be... better than that.
What beautiful song does she sing, Sam?
Basically, she sings the same tune every 4 minutes, over and over, for a week. Now, I imagine this drives the chicks and the eggs completely
My daughter
balmy.
does that with Let It Go.
Oh, sorry, it's... Oh, I hate that song. I can't be doing with it.
Well, I didn't used to, but holy smoke, it's a test.
But anyway, what happens is the chicks in the egg, they actually hear it and they commit it to memory, and Mum and Dad and eggs, they all know the tune. It's a unique tune.
Waterloo.
I don't think there are lyrics. So what happens is she goes away and gets food. When she returns to the nest, she sings this particular tune that they all know, and they have to sing it back to her, and that way she can be absolutely sure there isn't a cuckoo in the nest. Oh. So they have, as it were, a surname just for that nest.
That is amazing.
That really is amazing.
But if they were people...
Yeah.
How annoying would they be to have around for dinner?
Unbelievably irritating.
Andrew, should we do our song? No, we all know this song. We've sung it from when we were children. Let's do it, shall we?
They're not even real, I'm going to leave.
I knew a family that did that. They had a whistle.
Right.
And in the supermarket, the mum would do a certain whistle, and then the kid would whistle back.
No, darling, that's the Von Trapps. That's a film.
They had a whistle in the supermarket in case they got lost.
No, my mum would summon me home by whistling.
Seriously?
Yeah, and she taught me how to do it with the 2 fingers there.
Wow.
That is a whistle.
Now, I could hear that 3 miles away. So, but me and my brother would be playing with mates, and we'd be out all day, and then at tea time, my mum would go out the back door and go... And then we would...
That is a seriously good whistle.
We would come back...
One time, do you remember we were in Manchester?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I had to get a train.
Yeah.
And the taxi went by, and I went, Daddy! Like that, and he ignored me, and it went about 50 yards, and he did that, and it braked. And he did a U-turn and came back.
And was the taxi driver your mum?
Here's the thing about the birds, which is extraordinary. It isn't just birds that do this. Horses also do this. They have a signature whinny. Wow. Serious.
Picture budget being slashed.
Yeah. That's from horses and orthodontistry.
I'm so allergic to horses that I just sneezed at the sight of that picture.
I don't think it's an allergy. That photo is terrifying.
Okay.
It's going, where are my eyes? Where are my eyes? The crows have got my eyes!
That's the mum horse going, where are you?
Hello! Kids, bring my eyes back!
That overbite reminds me of my games teacher at school. So here's the thing. Horses have signature whinnies. So say, for example, that you have a horse called, shall we call it Alan, in a stall, and another horse called Sugar walks by and goes out of sight behind a barrier. Alan notices that and goes, carries on, you're being Alan the horse, goes back to eating. If, when Sugar is behind the barrier, scientists play his identifying whinny, Alan won't really pay any attention. If they play the identifying whinny of a different horse, Alan gets really freaked out because he knows that the horse he saw walk past wasn't the one that he's just heard. And this is on a list of things scientists can be asked to do. So horses have a signature whinny, and dolphins as well. Flipper's here. There's 2 children down a mine shaft.
A dolphin taxi is going to come through now.
They meet at sea, dolphins, and one of the very first things they do is to introduce themselves with a unique whistle, and then when they hear somebody calling that unique whistle, they answer with the same whistle, so sort of,
wow,
I'm here kind of thing.
Oh, dolphins.
I know.
Are they nice, really?
Well, I once swam with wild dolphins. I've never been more terrified in my life, frankly. Wrens, horses and dolphins all give themselves names. Who sold seashells on the seashore?
Is it somebody who's got no idea about the laws of sort of supply and demand?
Interestingly, there were plenty of seashells and lots of people who wanted to buy them. So who...
The answer is she, isn't it?
Well, it is in the rhyme. Can you do the rhyme? Do you know the rhyme?
She's... No, I can't, because I've got a lisp.
It's a fantastically mean thing to do to you.
Make him do it, Sandy.
Yeah,
Make him
sure.
do it.
She sells seashells on the seashore. And then she goes home again. Don't know the second
The
bit.
shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure, for if she sells seashells on the seashore, then I'm sure she sells seashore shells, is the full rhyme. Did anybody... Thank you very much. Thank you, yes.
That is the first time I've heard a typical British reaction to a tongue twister. And it is... That's what we think of articulate people. I didn't know we had that in our makeup.
So, she, but who was she? The woman who sold seashells?
Was she a Cockney woman who some white Victorian man made up a nice rhyme about, but actually she was probably a prostitute, died of syphilis?
That turned Dickens, really.
I wonder why they didn't include that bit in the rhyme.
And then she got syphilis.
What a dark place your head is.
Yeah.
It was an actual woman. She worked Lyme Regis. Have you had that seizure? Do you want me to get somebody? Or...
No, it's the Dorset lady... Bless you. The Dorset... we're a caring, sharing show. It was the Dorset lady...
Killer! Look at the weapon!
There she is.
Found the first dinosaur in the UK, didn't she? The first whole...
She was the inspiration for the tongue twister. She's a Victorian fossil hunter called Mary Anning.
Oh,
Mary Anning.
Fossil hunter. She's all over the Natural History Museum.
Yeah, all over the Natural History Museum, and she's an incredible woman. She was very brave, because actually it's very dangerous. That is a picture of her with her dog, Trey.
She's about to kill it and put it in that bag.
Well, I can't tell if the dog is already...
How much of mega fossil? Finish your painting, please, before the dog wakes up.
I don't know if the picture shows the dog already dead. It died in a landslide, and she was very fond of it.
A landslide caused by...
Well, it is... I don't know if
She found huge fossils.
She is really an extraordinary woman, and her findings absolutely made important changes in scientific thinking, because up until the 1820s, lots of people didn't believe extinctions could happen, because it would imply that God's creations were less than perfect. But she, in fact, discovered the very first ichthyosaur skeleton, correctly identified, the first two plesiosaur skeletons, and the first pterosaur skeleton outside Germany. She also found... I'm going to give you some examples. She found these, and she's the very first person who worked out what they are. So I'm going to pass you one there for you to share. Do you know what that is?
Oh,
£9.50 in a Cornwall gift shop.
Is this dinosaur shit?
It is. It is absolutely that. People first thought...
OK, now I feel weird.
Well, these have been tumbled to prove you can, in fact, polish a turd, but... People thought they were basals, so stomach stones, something from the inside of the stomach. But what she did was she cracked one open and she discovered... It's science, it's science.
All right.
She discovered fish scales and teeth, and she's the person who realised that, in fact, coprolites, which is the correct term for them, is, in fact, dinosaur poo. It's that extraordinary to have a dinosaur's bit of poo in your hand. I think it's incredible.
I feel a bit sorry for her that, you know, she's done all these amazing things, and then when they decide to come up with a rhyme about her...
Yeah.
They made up one about how she used to knock out seashells.
Well, here's the thing, that's how she made a living, because she was very poor. Her father was a cabinet maker. He died when she was 11, and so she had to make a living. And actually, people selling fossils has been a big thing on the Lyme Regis coast.
She did start finding them when she was 12 or 13, didn't she?
Yeah, she could sell them to tourists. It was one of the very first. So your £9.50 for a coprolite is probably about right. She really sort of pains me slightly, because she sold things to men who then wrote scientific articles about them, and she didn't get the credit. She wasn't allowed to join, for example, the Geological Society of London. They didn't admit women until 1904. She didn't get full credit until 163 years after her death. The Royal Society included Anning in a list of the 10 British women who have most influenced the history of science.
But was she not allowed to join the society because she was a woman or because she killed that dog?
I think the dog didn't help, if I'm honest with you. Right, time for a look in Mother Toxwig's bumper book of neological novelties, I think. Here are some new names for things, but can you tell me what any of them are?
Adorkable.
Adorkable, do you know what it is?
Is that when somebody's, like, really into comic books, but it's quite cute?
It's somebody...
Manic Pixie Dream Girl syndrome.
Yeah. Adorably dorkish,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
socially inept but charming with it.
Are these are new words that have recently... What's happening out here?
They're what's known as neologisms, so they are new terms that have entered the language.
Oh,
so these are...
I see.
Al desco is having your lunch.
Having your lunch at your desk.
A belfie, I can't remember what a belfie is. It's
Belfie is where you take a selfie, but you have a bell. With you?
No, it is a selfie, but what of? What part of you is a belfie?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Really?
Your bell end.
It's...
I thought that was a dick pic.
It's your bottom.
Oh, your bottom?
Yes, it's a picture
What's
of
a
your...
bumfie?
A bumfie.
How's Belfie bum?
Darling, I didn't write them. I'm just telling you. These are all examples that have been included in the OED in
The OED
recent
have got to
years.
stop
They
adding
are
now.
just-
Stop adding.
It's like the OED has been taken over by a 14-year-old boy who's bored.
I like that one, Stoorsuker.
Is that Scottish? Scottish?
Yes, it's to do with sucking. It's to do with sucking.
It's to...
Oh, it's
really?
so- it's
Is it?
something
I think
nasty
I'll
again.
leave the quiz now.
No, it's fine. It's a Scottish neologism for a vacuum cleaner. It's a stair sucker. A Stoorsucker.
What's honkin' bonkers?
Honk and bonkers, it just means amazing.
Is that the one you were thinking? That's the one I might take from this.
Yeah. So, what am I just going to throw into casual conversation?
The good thing about any of these words, if I hear someone using them, I can beat them to death with the OED, which is quite a hefty book.
Wabstead is another Scottish one for website.
What's cold press?
Cold press is a Scottish neologism for a fridge.
These are just Scottish words.
Does anybody know where the word quiz comes from? Because we're doing a kind of quiz.
I feel like I do know, but I can't remember.
Do we get a point for that?
Alan can have a point for that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think it's a perfectly
when
honest
you
thing.
say it, I'm going to go... What?
OK. We don't really know. So it used to mean a sort of eccentric person. How it has come to mean asking people questions for points, we don't really know. There's a story that Richard Daly, who was a theatre proprietor in Dublin in 1791, made a bet that within 48 hours he could get a word into common parlance. And he distributed the word quiz to be put up on walls all over Dublin, and it became part of the language.
Really? When they say the police are quizzing the suspect, that's wrong, isn't it?
No, that's from inquisitive, and inquisition. So that's a
Good.
separate...
You've got it. You're in the right chair. A little cold feeling then.
Channeling. Right, OK. A new word is created in English every 98 minutes or so. Now we're going to name our little piggies. You all know the rhyme. Come on, let's do this together. This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed at home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had lamb. And what did the last one do?
Little piggy went...
Wee, 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 all the way home. Unbelievably irritating. So, what we're going to do is we're going to play with Alan's feet. We're going to play with your feet, Danny?
Yes.
I don't really like feet. Can I just say this? I consider them the frayed edges of the body. I don't really...
Do you want both feet?
We just need one. If I could... Do you want to play...
I believe my feet died in 1987. And the rest of my body will catch up eventually, but I think my feet went some time ago.
Right. So here's what we're going to do.
We've never had an audience that's so judgmental. What do you hear? A tongue twister.
OK, I think... Very nice.
Someone else will get their foot out and you go, yeah!
OK, so Ramesh, there's a little stick. imagine that your big toe is number 1, and the next toe is number 2, 3, so number 5 is your little toe. Okay. I want you to shut your eyes, and Romesh... Romesh is going to gently touch one of your toes, and you tell us which one it is he's touching. I can't actually see which one's being touched. Let me just come and have a look. I'm coming behind you. OK, go ahead, then. Do it again. Yeah?
4.
Yeah, then keep going.
3.
So, OK. So, you can stop now. That's fantastic, because rather marvellously and rather pleasingly, you've entirely proved the point that I was trying to make, which is very nice. So, you said it was number 3, and, in fact, it was number 2.
Was it?
Yeah, it was actually number 2 that was being poked. And here's the extraordinary thing.
I can't get my leg there, hang on.
Are you all right? So, people at Oxford University research this kind of thing. In 2015, so they asked people to close their eyes while somebody pressed on one of their fingers, and they were correctly able to identify, 99% of the case, which finger was being simulated.
It sort of defeats the object.
Do it yourself. Yeah, to go and redo it yourself.
You know which one you're prodding.
Yeah. And also,
I went right through with it, and I did one on the toes myself, and then thought, well, no, that's number 1, and then...
Have you ever been involved in scientific research in any way?
I just have to let myself down, Sandy, all the time. I'm such an unbelievable idiot.
I think you're lovely. So you can recognise your big and little toes about 94% of the time, but the ones in the middle are the troublesome ones. We particularly struggle, as you did, between the second and the third toes, and about half the people, when the second toe is pressed, actually think it's the third one. And also, even more strangely, lots of people find it difficult to keep track of their toes entirely. Nearly half the testers reported feeling as if one toe was gone. A huge number of people with their eyes shut thought they only had 4 toes. It's like...
Wouldn't you just thought we've picked the wrong person for the experiment?
Yeah. Just gone entirely. Right. So, a question for all of us here on the panel. Which of us is the most common?
It's either me or Alan.
Why?
Why?
Oh, no, hang on. No, there's more women in the world, so it's one of you two.
It's not that. It isn't that.
It must be rubbish.
No, in fact, the most common...
You've got to give an argument. You've got must be rubbish.
I
see.
I had a look to see whose name was the most common.
Oh.
So whose name do we think is the most common?
Well, it's quite... Well, I'd say Romesh, Sandy and Carrie are probably not
going to be
top of the list.
Top of the list.
Yeah.
Davis is a very common name.
I'm afraid it is you, Alan. I had a look. Ranganathan is used, according to a website called Namespedia, is used 1,789 times in at least 26 countries. So what does it mean, the name? Do you know what the name means?
I think it means, like, love God.
OK, so... I broke it down... I broke it down, Romesh. Ranga means source of amusement for others.
Right.
And Nathan means he will give.
Oh, right.
Lloyd is used 65,467 times in at least 46 countries.
We get about the Welsh.
But there's that. Phil, search your name. Honestly, you come up... There's nothing, you Lithuanian bastard.
Because it was an accidental name, because it's actually Shepaitis. But when they arrived in 1917 in the UK, some bloke at Tilbury, when they arrived, went, "Name?" And they go, "Shepaitis." And he went, "Jupiter's." So he just wrote down what he heard, and so that's why it came out as Jupiter's. I have lovely hair. No wonder I'm so smug.
Yeah.
I don't know who's upset Alan.
I look like I've been pulled over for speeding.
Oh, God.
Davis is the most popular. 47 different countries it appears in. Did you know there was an entire group of Indo-Iranian people in the Caucasus Mountains who were called the Alans?
I did not know that.
They've died out.
She gives and she takes away.
My own name, I looked up on this thing, Toxvig, and it said that it is used at least 23 times in 3 countries, and then it listed all the people. And all of them are relatives of mine, and I'm not on the list.
What does Toxfig mean?
It means river by the burial ground.
Oh, that's nice. Romantic.
Having a huge name can help with your uniqueness. Have a look at these. These are some of the longest names in history. Look at that. That's one person's name. This was a woman, the long reigning ruler of Yemen in the 11th and 12th century. She was the greatest of the rulers of the Suliyid dynasty, and she is sometimes referred to as the Little Queen of Sheba.
Imagine how annoyed you'd be if you're doing the school trophy she won the 100.
Look at that name. That's great, isn't it? That's a fantastic name. Queen of Bali, circa 1088 to 11.
Do you think she fell asleep and just clapped on the keyboard? That last bit at the end, that ain't a name. That ain't a name.
That is a 2-year-old. There's a 2-year-old on an iPhone.
Would you rather be in a non-routine operation or a mass deposition event?
Looks like Alan's in The Simpsons from here.
Well, I don't like the sound of a non-routine operation.
I prefer a non-routine operation.
Do you?
Yeah, like,
Well, I just think because
Casual.
if it's
better
routine...
story.
Well, if it's routine, the person's more likely to be a bit blasé about it. You know, if you've done it loads of times. Where if it's non-routine, you probably think, I probably should stay awake while I'm doing this. You know, like,
if it's non-routine, they're going to have the book open and...
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like they're doing it for the first time.
I imagine it being like a chef.
If it's routine, they go, just for a game, I'm going to do it with my blindfold on.
I can tell you that the non-routine operation is a phrase used by Trans-Florida Airlines.
OK.
Crash landing?
It is their word for a plane crash. Notice to passengers, in case of
In the lead.
a non-routine operation, we'd like you to be familiar with the location of the airplane.
I mean,
exit.
you'd hope they'd call that non-routine, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What a damning indictment of the airline if they don't, yeah.
Can I show you my favourite airport sign? Because you know you'd never get proper information. I think this is absolutely fantastic. There we go. Kind of says everything, doesn't it? It's fair enough.
Who's
honest,
studying in
it's
translation?
It's absolutely fine. And the other thing is, a mass deposition event is, in fact, a huge pile of poo. In fact, it's a rather specific pile of poo. It's a euphemistic term given by archaeologists to the discovery of a thick layer of horse dung at a site called the Col de la Traversette, and it's believed to be associated with Hannibal's crossing of the Alps into Italy in 218 BC. I love this. The team analysing the poo, OK, are hoping to find signs of elephant droppings. Here's a quote from one of the team. There's even the possibility of finding an elephant tapeworm egg. This would really be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Tapeworm egg.
Not even a tapeworm,
no.
just a tapeworm egg.
Just a tapeworm egg. While we're on euphemisms, what is a non-discernible microbinoculator?
Something you can't see.
It's very small, very small.
You don't want to have it.
Right.
like a
can't see it. It's
parasite?
non-discernible, you can't see it.
It's a man-made thing.
Bullet.
Sort of.
A lethal injection.
You're absolutely in the right area. It's a poison dart gun. Devised by the CIA in 1975.
I'm on fire. It's about
You're-
to win.
you're doing-
I've only had one klaxon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say this during the show to flag it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done fantastic.
Otherwise, they were just going to be -40 and tell me to piss off.
That looks like a particularly tough night at the Rotary Club. I think I'm going to kill Alan.
He's got the sight on
But
back
it's,
to front.
the thing I don't understand...
Yes.
The bloke with the right side. Back to front, you idiot.
He's 20 miles away. The dart will never get him.
Why wouldn't you want to get caught in bed with a Norfolk Howard?
It's because it's probably cattle, is it, or something like that?
No, but it is a creature of some kind.
Oh, well, it's some sort of a bug or a flea or a
yes,
tick
you
or
are
a
on
thing.
fire. Yes.
What's going on with you today?
Yeah.
Like, you suddenly know shit.
No, it's like a substandard panel this week.
In fact, it's a euphemism for a bed bug, a Norfolk Howard. Turn of the 20th century, there's a guy, he's either called Bugsy or Joshua Bug. Anyway, he really hated being called Bug, and so he changed his name to Norfolk Howard, and his friends, to take the mickey, referred to all bedbugs as Norfolk Howards, and in the end, bedbugs became known as Norfolk Howards.
Oh, that's horrible.
I think that is a beautifully designed
It's an amazing
and
thing.
coloured.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really...
They are
I think
amazing,
that is
bed
a
bugs,
stunner.
yeah.
Look
Isn't
at the
it?
shell on that.
You wouldn't accept that from a hotel, though, if they said that to you, would you? I've got bed bugs, yeah, but look how beautifully designed.
And so we reach that round that dare not speak its name. Fingers on buzzers, please, for general ignorance. Name the place where all the Vikings who died in battle went.
Schroeder Swan.
I'll take the hit. Valhalla.
No. You'd think, right, that any warrior, death in battle, get to go to the Hall of the Fallen in Asgore. It's amazing. It has a roof entirely made of golden shields. It's got 540 doors. You can get 800 men in and out whenever you like.
Sounds brilliant.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But only half of the Viking heroes actually go to Valhalla. So in Viking mythology, there are actually two sets of gods. The Aesir, which is Odin and co, and the Vanir, and both sets get to choose their dead. So half go to Valhalla, which is where they all want to go, basically, and the other half go to the goddess Freya's field of Folkvanger, which was probably, you know, a blow, I would
have
imagine.
never been more aroused on a TV show.
Same.
Do the
Same.
voice. Do the voice.
See,
Do the voice.
Folkvanger.
Folkvanger.
Folkvanger. See, I think you'd like to go there, Phil.
Yes, I would like to go to Folkvanger.
Because there are women there.
There's no women in Valhalla.
No, just the Valkyries riding in and out.
That's a great name of a porn film. There's no women in Valhalla.
So if you didn't die in battle, you died a natural death, where did you go? 'Cause you didn't go to Valhalla and you didn't go to Folkvanger.
To Loki's Kingdom of Mischief.
It's a place we don't want to go today when we die. We don't want to go.
Hell?
We don't want to go to hell. Oh, fantastic! It's exactly right. They went to hell. Yeah, indeed they did.
If they died of natural causes.
If they died of natural causes, they went to hell,
warriors.
which was.
I feel terrible. Quick, start a fight. There's no battle today. Oh, this is so unfair. I've been in all the battles trying to get killed.
Hell is ruled over by a goddess called Hel. That's where we get the word hell from. Anyway, only half of Viking warriors ever got to Valhalla. Name a self-confessed Nazi.
I couldn't. I was like, Phil Jesus. All those guys.
But
They're like, me!
They
It's
didn't call
me!
themselves Nazis. did
Absolutely
they?
right.
As
There
Churchill
are none.
called
There are
them.
none
No,
because
then
they
you know.
didn't call themselves Nazis. You are just doing it brilliantly. Yeah. Absolutely right.
All this time you've been intimidated.
No.
To say what? No. You can just speak. It's lovely, Alan.
No, indeed. And
Hang on, I'll throw him off his game.
Although I like that Churchill called them Nazis.
Nazis, yeah.
Nazis. And he referred to the Gestapo as the Gestapo. Very good. You're absolutely right. No self-respecting Nazi ever called themselves a Nazi. It was the German exiles who called them that. Name the cause of the first mass extinction.
Oh, now this is a trick one because you're trying to get us to do the dinosaur one, but there was one before that, wasn't there?
After 14 years, he understands the format.
And the thing I still can't do is think in my head.
Run, Forrest!
Where do you think, then?
My mouth.
In your mouth.
Is it ice? Ice?
It is not ice.
Baby.
No.
Very good.
They had a problem, but they didn't solve it as a massive extinction.
It's sea anemone greed and really the invention of the mouth. So what happens is...
So
these
many
are-
problems come when we
these-
invent the mouth.
Yeah. These are Ediacarans, and Ediacarans are the very first complex life forms on Earth, and they hung around on the sea floor for about 37 million years. They didn't have a mouth, they didn't have an anus, they just lived through osmosis.
They got along fine.
They're just fine. And then what happens is the Cambrian explosion, so that's give or take a Tuesday, about 542 million years ago. You suddenly get life forms suddenly rocketing because there's more oxygen around, and you get sea anemone-like creatures. They have a mouth, and do you know what they did? They ate them. They're absolutely right. They ate the lot of them.
And the terrible, tragic thing was that they couldn't tell each other what was happening.
Oh,
No.
don't. that's so sad.
Yeah, no mouth.
Just lying there being eaten and not being able to...
Yeah.
Or warn each
I've
other.
had boyfriends like that, and I understand how they feel. Nothing you can do. Just let them get on with it.
It's been a learning experience being with you, Karen.
That's why I'm a doggerel.
Thought for a moment you meant you'd have boyfriends with no mouth or anus.
It felt like that,
They
Alan.
can't cry for help.
No. Can't speak.
Anyway, what's French for nom de plume?
Oh, hang on a minute.
Snuffy story.
Is that they don't have... That doesn't mean pseudonym in French. They don't...
Yeah, kind of.
don't
In
have that
fact,
word.
the French for when an author chooses to write under a different name is nom de guerre.
Oh, yeah.
It is now nom de plume in French, but the British didn't like nom de guerre. They didn't think it was a good idea. And so they changed it to nom de plume, and now the French have used it. They've taken it from us.
That's unusual that they would
Name
take
of-
it, because normally they hold on to their French words.
Yeah, like Le
with their
Weekend.
mind.
Like
Yeah.
crazy, they hold on to those
Yeah.
words. My favourite nom de plume... I mean, Voltaire had loads, and he had about 173. Daniel Defoe had loads and loads. In fact, including Daniel Defoe. His real name was Daniel Foe. He just bigged himself up with the de part. And Benjamin Franklin...
He lived in Stoke Newington.
Who did? Daniel Defoe?
Daniel Defoe.
See, I like that, because that is where somebody like that ought to live. There's a wonderful story about a book written by a man called T. Lobsang Rampa. He was supposedly a Tibetan monk, and it was a huge hit, this book. It was called The Third Eye. It was published in 1954, massive hit. In fact, it was written by a plumber from Plimpton. His name was Cyril Henry Hoskin.
A total hoax.
A total hoax. But what I like
Brilliant.
about it, he wouldn't back down, right? So he claimed that the soul of the original Lobsang Rampa had inhabited his body after he fell out of a fir tree in his garden in Thames Ditton while attempting to photograph an owl.
I'm going to lie.
It's got everything.
big.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
The French for nom de plume is nom de guerre. So our panellists emerge at the scores, but let's see who has made a name for themselves and who has a black mark next to theirs. In fourth place, with a magnificent -2, it is Phil. In third place, with 4 points, it's Ramesh. OK, I don't know if you're going to be able to guess who wins if I tell you who's in second place. With 5 points, it's Carrier. And the winner is Alan with 7. It only remains for me to thank Carrier.
Unbearable.
I shall bear with it. It only remains for me to thank Cariad, Phil, Ramesh and Alan. And finally, let me leave you with this Neolithic newspaper nugget from the Johannesburg Star. The Sunday morning quiet of the city centre was shattered when a man went berserk in Plain Street. He smashed about 4,000 rands worth of shop windows before being shot in the thigh by a passing churchgoer. Good night.